It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Hunter's Blend Coffee, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Buck Baits, Limb Walker Game Calls, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, Scent Blocker, and Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings.
And there we go.
There we go.
We're back, everybody.
We are back. It's Thursday night, and we are back.
Back in the cabin once again.
Absolutely.
Live.
It's a little chilly, not gonna lie.
Gosh, you think, man? How cold has it been here lately? I think Sunday night's supposed to be the coldest night of the year here in Michigan.
The town that is closest to me in the UP,
Yeah.
2 mornings ago,
Uh-huh.
minus 33 degrees. Actual temperature.
Wow. Man, that's cold.
That was cold.
You know, have we officially been colder than hell, Michigan, yet?
You posted it. Yes. You posted it.
Yes.
We were officially colder than hell, Michigan.
We're colder than hell, people.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, let's get this thing rolling tonight. We got a guest sitting in the wings ready to go.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Stand by. And in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in a warm cabin tonight in a cold Michigan little town here in the Midwest.
Absolutely.
With Dan DeFall. What's up?
Well, you know what? It is February. It is cold. It is just one of those things we got to deal with. We're halfway through the month.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up on March, it's going to be changeover, so that's good.
Right?
Right?
Let's hope. I'll tell you what, though. This is how I'm staying warm tonight, right here.
That's right.
Got the Hunter's Blend going. Let's take care of some stuff, man.
Absolutely. Let's take care of people that support us. Nothing better than using our promo code, capital UNJ. If you go over to huntersblendcoffee.com and you can get 10% off your order. Or if you're watching the live stream, just look under Mike's finger where he's pointing and you can see the capital letters UNJ. Just use that. You'll get 10% off your Hunter's Blend Coffee order.
There you go.
Our friends over at Buck Baits. If you want 20% off your order, the promo code for that is Up North Journal. Go over to www.buckbaits.com. Go check out what he's got on their lineup. Anytime's a good time to check it out. He's got a bunch of stuff. Go check it out. We talked to him last week. We got a new promo code for our viewer and listeners. Packer Max, courtesy of Lincoln Roan. If you want $25 off your order, promo code capital UNJ25. Go over to packermax.com or give him a shout. Check it out. We talked to him last week. It's a good time to order. Get it in, because before you know it, we're going to have spring.
Food plots are coming, man.
Absolutely. And courtesy of our guest tonight, that's right. They're going to be talking to us live here in just a quick toot of a goose call. You see how I did that? JPO Game Calls, that's right. Paul and Amy over there. You can get a 10% off your order if you use the promo code capital UNJ10 for 10% off your order at jpogamecalls.com.
All right. Well, I tell you what, let's just get them into the house right now.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Get them in the house.
Paul and Amy, what's going on, man?
Hi. Hey, not too much, Mike. Dan, how you doing?
I'm having to put up with Danny tonight. You know how it goes.
Well, she's got to put up with me tonight, too.
I know. I didn't get to send him to the shed tonight, so we'll see how this goes, too.
All right. Well, hey, you try to keep Paul in check, and I'll keep Danny in check, and we'll have a good time tonight.
We got to talk to Charles Byram, because he is commenting already that is he the only one that's actually in favor of global warming?
Ask him the same thing when it comes deer season.
Right? Exactly. When you have that warm front coming through.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but welcome to the show tonight, guys. How you doing?
Good. I cleaned up. I'm not full of sawdust tonight, so, I got to step out of my norm from time to time. So
there you go.
We're glad to be with you guys tonight.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you in the cabin tonight with us.
Absolutely great to have you in the cabin. It was great to go over and visit you on Saturday, get the inside workings of the shop.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting us over. That's pretty cool.
Warts and all,
It was a good time over there. A lot of good discussion too. That's what's nice about having people to work with that are somewhat close to us, that we can actually get over there and kind of sit back and talk about hunting, talk about life and everything. And it was really nice. It was a good afternoon.
Talk about the chicken coop and all the other things that go on around here, all the other shenanigans. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, the chicken coop.
About sitting around that wood stove.
That was so nice. Absolutely. I wish I had something like that similar here at the house, because I tell you what, it's been chilly lately. Michigan has not been kind to us.
It has been. Yes.
It has been, but you know what? We got Paul on talking about his calls. We saw how he makes them, which is just awesome. It's a cool thing to actually see the shop that they're made in, or his ideas that get behind what he creates.
Absolutely.
And folks, it's really it's really a skill that he possesses. Whether it's milling it, whether he's buffing it, whether he's just putting on the coating for it, right?
Right.
It's all that what he takes in, because he showed us how the process that he goes through.
Well, Paul, the thing that really impressed me was, when we sat and we talked about this that afternoon, I don't think a lot of people really appreciate how much work really goes into a call. And the pricing you got your stuff at, to me, is simply, it blows my mind. Number one, how reasonable they are for the amount of work you put into them. But talk a little bit about making the calls. I know we had show season, but it got canceled. So now you've got these calls worked up, and you're doing some online stuff. But kind of talk about where this all began and your passion for it.
Sure. Yeah. So. The stories are always so similar about when you decide or how you decide to go about starting to make your calls. And I just wanted to make my own duck call. I figured, let me make one, and then making one turned into, that was okay, but maybe I can do a little better job on the second one. And maybe I could put some O-rings in and over-engineer the stuff a little bit and make a third one. Before you know it, you end up with about 3 dozen on the table. And what am I going to do with this stuff? So maybe I'll go to a show or something like that, So there were a couple of local shops I went into and kind of cold called and asked them, whether they'd be interested in carrying calls that I'd made, and they suggested that I really try going to attend shows in addition to, and which is foreign to me. I didn't know that there were so many shows throughout mid-Michigan. I knew Outdoor Animal was a large one, but I had no idea about all the other shows available at the time. So that's really kind of how it started. Turkey pots and duck calls, and believe it or not, my very first sale was a crow call. So
Really?
And I was pretty excited about that at the time.
And speaking of getting started and off onto the right foot of what you were looking to eventually do down the road, what does JPO stand for?
So it's kind of a funny story. My buddy Josh, my hunting partner Josh, and I, we duck hunted exclusively for a number of years. And my brother-in-law, just in passing, asked if there was room in the boat to come out and just give it a try. He'd never gone duck hunting or waterfowl hunting, and I said, yeah, just come on in, and we'll find a spot for you. And we just had an exceptionally good year that year, and we never got him out of the boat for the rest of the season. And we were out wading around our waders. He didn't have waders or any real waterfowl attire, so we're out there chasing cripples and everything else, and bumbling back and forth with my buddy Josh. I'm like, man, we should just start our own outfitter for my brother-in-law, because this seems like what we're doing.
You weren't bumbling around too much, because you were in a custom. You had built your boat blind, your duck blind too.
Yep,
so
yep.
He's been tinkering as long as I've known him, for sure.
Yeah. Matter of fact, my duck blind was more or less a mandate prior to us getting married. I said, I'm going to build this duck blind, and you just have to be aware that happens before we get married. So I had to really rush through that process to get it all finished up.
Priorities, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yep.
So the JPO stands for?
That Josh and Paul Outfitters, and we file the JPO Outfitters LLC, and then we do DBA as JPO Game Calls, because I didn't know what I wanted the outfitter portion to be later on. I don't know if it was going to be guided hunts or if it was going to be some other things, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of that a little bit later in the segments.
You
He
know,
talked about his duck blind as well. You can actually pull your boat his boat in and out of this duck blind that he's built.
It's like a garage,
So,
hatch doors, and yeah.
You get your ducks. You don't have to hike out for them. If you don't have a dog, you don't have to send a dog. You can just pull your boat out,
Drive out to it. Yeah.
go
nice.
find them.
Now, I will guarantee you that got over-engineered. That
Yes.
Oh yeah.
because
Several times over.
okay, see, so you gotta understand when we were there Saturday, the simple story of the simple chicken coop just took a legs of their own, and I totally understood it when eventually we saw it. So
Right.
but yeah, so here you are. You've now got your idea for bringing this all to light as to what you wanted to do. You said your squirrel call was kind of like or a crow call or something like that. What was your first go at it? Was it with the duck calls? Was it the goose calls? Was it the small game calls?
Sure. Yeah. So I started with duck calls and some
Turkey
goose
pots.
calls and a few turkey pots and things of that nature. But as I had matured through the shows, people would ask me for a series of different types of calls that I had never even give a thought of. One of the primary ones was predator. Do you have any predator calls? I said, predator? You guys just use electronic calls and that's it. What's the point? And he said, no. You got to have something around your neck because batteries fail. They're heavy. A lot of people are very agile and how they hunt, so they want something real light, just to get them moving through their hunts and depending on geography, it can be tough to take a lot of gear with you. So.
And I think that first year we did the shows was the year that Michigan had changed a few things about coyote hunting, and so people were starting to look
Night
for
hunting
those.
with rifles. Yeah.
And so we got a lot of questions about that, and he took that home. He takes a lot home from the shows and what people share with him
I
and
learned
what they're
so
looking
much.
for.
Yeah, so much from the
And
show.
that really drives a lot of it.
Well, that's a lot, has a lot to do with just being at the public shows. Is that public feedback that, truthfully, you're not going to get it sitting in your shop staring at the wood that you're turning, right?
No, not at
Right.
all. If you do it long enough, it does talk to you, but
Okay, I'm not gonna admit that, and when it starts to answer back, Amy, you
Yeah,
to step
yeah,
in,
probably.
just
So, yep.
right. So, but yeah, that whole at public shows where we met you, I think we met for the first time. I think was Woods and Water, and that was the thing that we saw. And Woods and Water here in Michigan in September can be a huge show with a lot of people, and getting all that feedback for you just kind of led you, the goods, the bads, I like it, don't like it, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yep.
that's a good aspect of a public show.
Yeah, you got to have broad shoulders, and you got to take it on the chin when somebody calls you out on it, and you learn a lot from it, and you make your products better. And that's where my Omni Series had come from. All these calls prior to Omni were what we call our utility call series. If it's a crow call or an elk call, it was
Exclusively.
a call that was designed with a specific read and intent in mind. But as people were asking me to make woodpecker calls or squirrel or you
Barred
name it,
owl.
barred owl call came up. Yeah.
Barred owl.
I just shook my head of how could I come to market with a product that could be versatile enough to and adaptable enough to meet and suit the needs of the customer without going through an entire reinvention of a call design or a look. So I went back to the drawing board literally after my first show and started to dabble around with looks and designs and what I wanted my product to look like. How could I strip out any unnecessary cost out of the call was paramount in my mind. I.e. the bands, as beautiful as they are, if you design the call the right way, they're really not as necessary. And with a wood product, especially with a laminate wood product, you get some really beautiful looking calls just with the wood and how it's turned itself, which is a lot of the reason behind the design the way it is. It's a little more bulbous on the bottom side of the call so that the laminate woods can really start to show through the different layers. And then, finally, my attention, I'm a big fanatic when it comes to detail, and I didn't care for the seams of a call from the keg to the barrel. There's this little line there that's in there the right way, and I just didn't want to see that, so I put a little of a recess into the barrel, so I would hide all of the seams to make it really fluid and just a nice sleek design. And once I figured out the call dimensions, I was able to refine the lengths to suit all the different style calls that I carry today.
And that's one of the things, like you said, when you're looking at, and we talked about this in your shop about that initial thought of how you were going to, of all the requests that are asked of you, you looked at it and said, wow, that's almost like putting a different SKU number on each individual piece of product, right? And you're just one person, so you got the wheels turning, and you came out with the Omni. But one of the questions coming through from Mark Coleman is, we talked about the public shows themselves. Well, here in Michigan, we don't have any public shows to speak of. So he's asking, how are you guys going to, what's your thought on how you're going to market yourself here as we're going into the spring for turkey, for your pot calls and your mouth calls and what you got going on? What's your outlook on that aspect of it?
Well, it's getting in some podcasts like the Up North Journal to
right on.
Spread the word. Yeah, with the call, the show season's kind of in the rears here. It's word of mouth, and it's return customers, and as much advertising as an SEO as we can muster these days.
We've put together a lot of our calls online. We still are working toward getting pictures of all the different colors and things, but for now we pretty much have got just about all of our calls on a website and on our website.
Yeah, this one is the
putting together the
for
website.
That.
So I just need to, we've got a few more to show the more of the colors we have. Right now I just have maybe one to show the shape and the type of call that it is. But so we have that avenue, and we have a couple online presences that help bring that out through the searches that people do online. And just locally, when we hear about people who have stores and shops that are open and are interested in putting our content and our calls in their shop, we're more than willing to hear about that too. And so we're working with some people there as well.
Check out Deer Camp and Sterling Heights.
You led right into it for me. That is awesome. I was just about to say, and if you're in southern Michigan, in the Sterling Heights area, stop at Deer Camp. See Tony and Julie down there at Deer Camp, where you guys have got a display with all your calls there.
Yep, absolutely.
We have a few there, sir.
And we stopped in and we saw them, and Tammy and I looked at it, and we saw all your calls there, and we said, hey, we got to get a hold of those guys over. And
right.
It helps when you're right in our back door, so that all works out really good. There's no doubt about it. But
that looked like a good time too, going down there. So
right, well, if you go there, you got to make sure you're not hungry, because the guy tempts you with enough food. Is like, geez, slow down.
Yes.
Yeah. Venison hot dogs. We stopped by last night. We had venison hot dogs.
Never go away hungry. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, did you like them? I've heard them. I've seen them post them. I haven't had one myself yet. I know Tammy has gotten some. What's your thought about them?
They're really good. A nice hearty
venison.
Venison hot dog. Yep, absolutely. Very good.
There you go. So Tammy even says it's a great looking display.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. Let's go ahead and step outside, take our first break. We come back. Let's get into the Omni Call series, because that's really the thing that really intrigued me about your calls. And for those who don't know what it is, stay tuned, because you're not going to be disappointed in this. This is pretty awesome. We'll be right back after this. Okay.
All right, everybody out there. Thank you, Nancy, for posting the link to the JPO game calls for Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that.
Tammy says you got a great display. Oh, she had the venison hot dogs and she loved them. So I guess I'm just going to have to get down there and try them.
So good I had to have two.
Yeah.
Really?
It'll keep you warm.
All right, that's good to hear. That is awesome. Jim Steffen, what's up in Wyoming? Big shout out to, I saw somebody up here. Where are they viewing from? Lori Schultz Heilman. Hello from Freeland, Michigan.
All right.
Oh yes, nice
Freeland.
to hear from you again, Lori.
Mid-Michigan area. And Nancy that just posted that link for you guys is in Saginaw Township. So
Right, so from
that's not far from Freeland.
Nope, Wyoming to Saginaw to Freeland.
There you go.
At Saginaw Bay, I tell you what, he grew up on it, and there are lots of stories in that area, and there are a few people out there that know a few of those. So,
So if we go out there in one time and we're just asking people, hey, do you know Paul? Are we going to survive?
It depends on where you ask that question.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know what I was getting into before I start throwing your name out there.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show, talking with Paul and Amy from JPO Game Calls, talking a little bit about how you got started in the business. Actually, we got a quick question here. Do you have a YouTube page? And I already know the answer to this. We talked about this over at the shop, actually.
Yep, that's you have to talk to my my internet superstar here. She can tell you more.
Okay.
I have set up a YouTube channel. I've made it that far, and I've put together one video. The video that is on there is all about how to use his hybrid goose flute, which is one of, again, his innovations and his ideas of listening to people. They want to get into short reed goose calls, but they're just hard to, there's a learning curve to them, and they want to get out there and just get right into it. And so he went and he took that and he created this hybrid flute. It's not a full flute, which is actually, we just brought in a full flute this season. We'll talk about that a little bit later maybe, but so this hybrid is what's on our YouTube channel right now. And
It looks like
we're hoping to get some more videos out this year, but
Well, you're not going to shows, so hey, why not get some YouTube videos out there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I know a couple guys that might be able to help you with a little of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like,
yeah, that's true.
is it JPO Game Calls on the YouTube?
Yes, it's JPO Game Calls on YouTube, the channel.
There you go.
There's a link to the videos on our website as well.
See, Nancy's already asking, wanting to know more about these stories on Saginaw Bay.
That's the last segment of the show.
I know, right?
Got to stay tuned.
We got to hear about the innovation that
the Omni
the
Series.
Omni Series,
I lost my
because
anchor.
this is where your
Found my
engineering.
skivvies to go rescue my anchor. So
Oh Lord!
Or, there's time
we
the
gotta talk
truck,
about that.
I don't know if the truck went deeper in the water or you went
That
deeper
was
in the water.
way
It was a long
early
time
in
ago.
my-
I want to hear this story.
Oh man, they're getting better. Skivvies, truck and water.
I think we need to have him back for a second show just to talk about these stories.
Right, stories on Saginaw Bay.
but I have a lot of fun.
There you go.
That's all that matters. It's all about fun and memories, right?
That's
It's
right.
about moments that matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, speaking of moments that matter, the engineering mindset that you have created the Omni Series. Why don't you explain how this all is intertwined with each other for the Omni Series?
Yeah, sure. So the genesis of Omni really starts with the barrel portion first. So the barrel, you can see that, is a little bit longer than a standard call. Roughly the barrel of a call is about 3 inches. It's
Hold it
down
up
about
just a little bit higher.
Hold on, a little bit high. There you go. Perfect.
There.
There you go. About 3.5 inches for a barrel now. And the IDs were machined specifically to accept the barrels and the kegs for the various products that we would carry, whether it's a bellow system for squirrel, or it's the keg, the various keg products that we would carry, whether it's short reed, short reed goose, or hybrid goose, or goose flute products. You name it. Deer grunts. We have deer grunt accessory kegs that go with the product as well, and they all adhere to a very specific to very specific dimensions that are gauged through plug gauges to make sure that we're always consistently delivering the same dimensional aspect. So that allows me to pair kegs and accessory pieces to the call, and you come back to the site and buy the different pieces of your call as your hunts change. And the linchpin of the call is the barrel itself. So you can always take a piece of your call with you on any hunting trip and it just adds more to the sense of the hunt and just the story of your hunts in general.
Yeah, it really the Omni brought together a few things that we had been tinkering with, or he had been tinkering with. Is you have different seasons in Michigan, different hunts, and with each season you have different calls, different tools, and things that you carry with you, and you can end up with all sorts of calls and weight and so forth. So that was another item that you have your deer grunts in the fall, and you have turkey and goose and duck, and then you move into your winter season and you've got squirrel and coyote and a whole bunch of others. And so this allows you to take the barrel of the call and simply maintain that barrel. It still can be attached to your lanyard, and you simply exchange what you're going out for. So you can remove the duck keg and put in the squirrel keg, and away you go. Or if you go from the water into the woods, you can just rotate those out using the same barrel. It allows you to get into several calls and build your call collection.
It gives you a great looking call, and the price of your call is reduced because you don't need to invest in a barrel for every single call that you have. And I can do a really nice job on the individual pieces and provide that little bit of a break that's needed to make sure that I can reach the market that I'm trying to reach. Yeah. So
instead of designing the call around the reed or the type of call it is, and each being its own standalone call, if someone comes in and does ask for the speckled belly goose or something, he's built this Omni to be able to incorporate all sorts of different calls into it. So we're able to provide that speckled belly goose or some of the more unique sounds that we get requests for with what we have in Omni. So it works well for everyone.
Yeah. Kind of like an AR platform for calls.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I was going to say it's the Tinker Toys of calls, because you can interchange everything and make things different, but yet you change this out for that, and you're going after a squirrel. You change this for that, you're going after a deer. One of the questions we do have is, do you have an elk call?
We do.
We do. We have an open reed elk call, which actually doubles as a predator call quite nicely. That open reed call is so versatile. That you can do distress calls with it. The cow elk is primarily what that open reed is for. And then we carry a bite reed accessory keg in Omni, and we also carry the bite call and the utility call series as well.
And you have a mouth call for elk.
Actually, we got another comment just coming in here, and I think this is probably directed at you and me, Danny. It says that the pieces look really beautiful. Even if you don't get anything, you sure look good doing the calling. So that'd be Danny and I.
Right? Over the fireplace too.
Right? Hey, so something like this. Here I am. I'm gonna get one of your Omni calls. What kind of price range we looking for the different items?
Sure, yeah. So the barrel starts out at $25, and then the accessory kegs vary from $15 to $20 up to about $35. Just depends on the complexity of the part. And one of the primary examples in terms of complexity would be the short reed goose call, which has in all of our aluminum, or in all of our goose call products, we have an aluminum tenon that goes into the material to reinforce the sidewall of the call itself. Okay. And that I've got to hold really tight dimensions with that product to get it to fit in there the right way and to maintain the right specification for that call. So the short reed accessory kegs are probably the more expensive part. But this is a new product. We haven't really we don't have this one completely priced out yet. But yeah, that's
basically one of the other things we want people to do is give you a call, get on your website, go check you out, and if you got a question, give you an email or give you a call and ask the question. One of the things we talked about with Lincoln Roan last week about Pac-Mans was just that, getting to know the person, talking to the person, just getting that one-on-one relationship with whoever you're dealing with. Because when you talk to them, you might get the feel that they're asking for something, but it might not be exactly what they think they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I had an interesting email come in earlier this week from a gentleman in South Carolina asking me about the squirrel. He had purchased a squirrel call set up from me, and was kind of asking how to use it, and if I was kind of reading between the lines, it sounded like he was definitely struggling with the hunt. And I wrote probably a long dissertation on some different methods to try. Look for sign. Don't go out the first day and think that you're going to just go shoot all the squirrels in the woods. Go out and recon a little bit, right? Look where you're seeing them feed. They'll have the oak leaves and scrub brush all kind of tore up, salvaging for nuts. And the snow will look for tracks, for squirrel tracks. You'll know where they're at in the areas, and you come back the next day early and you take your time and you sit, and you just enjoy being outdoors. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And he got back to me and was really appreciated all the insight that I provided him, and I said, that was the reason. He's like, this is why I like to buy local products, because I get the support and I get all the experience from the person I bought it from. So that's what I look forward to doing. The emails, the Facebook reach outs and stuff like that really makes my day, and that helps drive me to keep doing this stuff, because people really enjoy it.
And we've seen that with you at the public shows as well. They can stop, they can ask questions. You can actually show them how to run said call, whatever they're looking at, and that's that one-on-one you're having for that split moment that with the public shows like that. But with what we're going through now, being able to reach out to you like that through email or Facebook or whatever they're doing, that's just awesome. And I think that talks about you both and how you guys can reach out to your prospective buyers, and you care.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Well, I think it's the difference between, like you said, with the smaller people who hand build things like that versus a bigger company who would just stamp something out and just kicks it out. Somebody can call you and they get that personal one-on-one interaction and help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the best way for me to get squirrels is easy. You just go deer hunting. Then you see all the squirrels. And then when you go squirrel hunting, you see all the deer. It works out.
There's a lot to be said about that, yeah.
Every time, I guarantee you. But that is just awesome how you got that Omni Series. Like I said, get out to their website, check it out. And if you got questions, email. Get on Facebook. They're on Facebook. But check it out. Kind of get a feel for what the Omni Series actually is like. We've kind of joked about it, but it's kind of really a cool system.
It is.
It's like Tinker Toys. I mean, you two different things and you get a squirrel call. Another two different things, and you got a deer call. And then you go into the goose calls. It's a very versatile situation. You've really engineered yourself into a situation where you're plug tolerancing these things, and if they don't make it, they end up on the They end up on the floor, right? Or they bust apart, which we did see.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I tell you what. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. No. So this year for our release is the goose flute. That's I try to release a new accessory keg whenever I can, and for 2021 I'm getting into the goose flute. Everybody at the shows were asking, "Do you have a flute? Do you have a flute?" And I said, "No, I've got my hybrid. I've got my short reed." I said, if I put together a goose flute, I mean, the intermediate piece is not easy to make, and it's going to be expensive. That's why I brought out the hybrid.
Right.
And they said, you know what? When you make your goose flute, you give me a call, because I'm going to buy a flute from you. So I came out with it this year. So it's two barrels, right? That you buy 2 barrels. You buy the intermediate piece, and now you've got a nice goose flute style call.
And it sounds like,
make sure you got going the right way here. The train part is the short reed gut, so you don't have to fight to get the growl. You just blow through the call. I made sure that the dimensions of the length of the call makes the train sound for you. So the train part, which is the toughest part to master for a short read, is already done as a part of this this call series. So.
Awesome. Jeff Emery's asking, does JPO have tutorials for using the calls? Now, we just talked about that a little bit earlier, that you do have one out on YouTube, and more to come.
Hybrid flute, and we don't have one out for this one just yet, but we've been talking about doing that more this winter and putting some of those out there on just how to run some of these calls.
All right, so stay tuned on that.
Yeah, stay tuned on that, Jeff Emery. We'll get some videos
right.
from him.
I'll tell you what.
Thanks,
Let's
Jeff. You keep me on it, Jeff. I'll do my best here, buddy.
let's go ahead and we'll take our next break because when we come back, we're going to talk about your newest
Kidney bean.
Kidney bean. It's an innovation, something that we've been kind of teasing and talking about. So before, Danny alluded to it in our teaser video before the show tonight. So stay tuned. We're going to step outside and we'll be right back after this.
Larry Andrew Barron. Great calls. JPO Green calls.
Just be outdoors,
Yes,
Larry. How
yes.
you doing?
So 3 greats to your calls.
There you go.
Gotta like that, right? And if you got any questions while we're getting into our third segment here, gonna talk a little bit about our teas.
All right, you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We talked a little bit about this going into the break. You mentioned kidney bean. Kind of shaped like that, sort of.
Right,
speak,
exactly. You know, it's one of those things.
I think we found a name for it. I don't know.
Okay.
Rice and beans. Yeah.
Right? So we talked about his calls, and when we were out at his shop, he had one sitting on the table, and then he brought the original model in and set that up. But then we found out that he likes to go prairie dog hunting. Huh. Well, wait a second. That has nothing to do with, but we're seeing something that he's making. And lo and behold, you came up with a shooting table that kind of has a turret to it that
Yep.
makes it a lot easier to swing that rifle after those little guys while they're popping their head up.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So tell us how this all kind of started, because this all started, you know, when you originally said it and said, hey, we go prairie dog hunting, and then all of a sudden, obviously your engineering mind took over.
Oh yeah. So my buddies, we put this plan together. They hatched this plan. Okay, we know some locals out in Oklahoma. They said we should come out and give a prairie dog hunt a go once, and we've been kind of toying it around. And so, would you be interested in going? I said, heck yeah, man. Let's go do this. Let's give this a go. So the plans were in place for like 3 or 4 months. Since Christmas time. And my buddy Ben says, hey, me and my brother-in-law are going to build shooting tables. Would you like to come over and build a shooting table before we go? And I said, man, I'd really like to, but the show season is right during that time. I don't have the ability to make, to burn a weekend for a table. I got to make calls. I got to get ready for the next show. It's just a very, very busy time of the year for me. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to shoot prone on the ground, and I'll shoot over the hill or something like that, and it'll be fine. No big deal. I mean, there's all kinds of country out there, right? So we got out there, and the local guys met us at the site, the first shooting site, and like, so everybody, where's your tables at? And I'm like, I shook my head. I don't have a table, and I got poked lots of fun at. And I did not have the greatest shooting experience, because when you lay down in the grass, in the prairie grass, you can't see over the ridge lines to see the prairie dogs. And the higher advantage you can get, the better off you are. So I'm watching everybody hoot and holler, have a good time, and
He's down there rolling
kinda
around in the dirt.
shortchanged. Yeah.
And I bet you were, forever how long you were out there, you were probably the butt end of every local joke known to man for that weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I got schooled a little bit, but towards the very end of the hunt, I'm watching my hunting partners. They shoot a couple of dozen, maybe a dozen times, and then they stop they lay the gun down, and then they pick the shooting table up and they shift it, and then they set it back down. They put all their gear back on, and they get themselves resituated again, and then they shoot some more. And I thought, that doesn't look like much fun. I'm lazy. I don't want to lift anything up. I want to set my stuff down one time. So what would I have to do to make the table work for me? And I noodled that all the way home, and the first one that you saw, the 180-degree table, made its way out, and it was showcased last year. And I was so nervous.
The return visit.
Yeah, the year 2, I went out prepared. New scope on the rifle, new shooting table. Scope's a different story, but I pulled that out, and the local boys, they said, "What is that? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen." I just shook my head and like, oh no, I made fool part 2 out of myself. And they watched me on that table for about 20 minutes and said, let me give that a try. So they sit down and they play with it a little bit, and
the wheel started
a whole lot.
The wheel started turning for them, didn't it?
Yeah, right. And they had that. Now it's the other way. Now they had 3 days to noodle on what I had done. And towards the end, we were getting ready to leave, and the local says, "Man, I thought that was the biggest, stupidest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. You're one big idiot to make something like that, And then he paused and said, "What's the chances you could probably make me one of those?" Because
conveniently has to put that on the end of the conversation after he.
Right.
Nice.
It dressed me down a little bit. Yeah. So no, but it was a lot of fun, and so I came up with the one that you guys saw on the table was the 120 degree instead of the 180. So I shortened it up a little bit, made it a little bit more, a little lighter. My 2 hunting partners, they were busting me because they felt that they were my Sherpas, right? They had to drag out all my gear for me, and I could set the table up, and I always need help to put it away. And I thought, you know what, maybe that was a little bit too big, so let me make it a smaller, more manageable table. So that's where the 120 degree came out. That's the one that you saw, and I'm going to come up with a 90 degree one, because the 120 is nice, but I think I could probably shave just a few more degrees off that table and still have just as much fun with it. So
Tinkering, always tinkering.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got to be done before May, because I'm going to go out with my 90 degree table.
Oh, there you go. So you've got a deadline that you set up for yourself to have the JPO kidney bean table ready.
Yeah, it's self-imposed.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so you got to get this
He's
done.
out there right now getting a workout. So it went out earlier this week.
Yeah, I surprised the guy by sending it out this week. So.
Oh, well, I hope he sends you pictures, because we want to see them. Because
Yeah.
because
you guys just got in on it before it headed out. So
Well, I bet you they won't be making fun of you this year.
if not asking you to, while you're here, you think you could make one in your shop, in my shop?
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, bring your router, and we'll bring the wood. Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, Tammy's got a point here that she's making a comment that actually that also might be a perfect opportunity for somebody in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
To kind, you could, because you could, the way you set the table up and how you can, and one of the things, the reason why it looks like it does, folks, it looks like a kidney bean to us, is he set it up because somebody's left-handed, we won't say who, and somebody, other people are right-handed. So it's like, what if, that way it's ambidextrous, and then you could go in there and, right-handed, left-handed, you can use the same table.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's just a cool little feat that you did, and again, engineering it like your mindset is to come up with it, and then like you said, you came up with the original idea, you tweaked it, you're going to tweak it one more time before May, and then get your butt out west to use it and make fun of those guys.
Yep. Give it one more go. Yep.
Well, I got a photo up here right now of the new model, and I'm looking at it, and okay, you've got the black band on the table, and it looks like something like almost like a sweep that's underneath the turret itself. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So as you're shooting, I shoot a 6.8 and the brass flies out all over the place. And as I'm sweeping the turret back and forth, that brass would get caught between the paddle and the table. And it'd grind a little bit, or it'd hang you up a little bit. So you'd have to fish out the brass. So I put the sweep on to keep that brass from getting underneath the paddle while you're moving it around. So.
Okay, that's a self-cleaning little item.
Yep.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you also have a magnet in there somewhere.
Yeah, I did.
Another little.
I did put a magnet. I put a
job.
magnet set in to make sure that the paddle during transport wouldn't swing around on you when you're in the back of the truck. So you can take the paddle and lift up on it, and magnetically it fixes itself to the table so it doesn't swing around on you.
Okay.
Things you may not see in the pictures. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's there.
Now
It's that attention to detail that I'm talking about.
the little inset of black on the table. Explain that.
Yeah. So because there's a bearing surface under the paddle, so I didn't want the bearing to wear into the wood and divot it up and create rough spots. So as a part of the process, I router out the path of where the bearings lie, and I fill that in with epoxy resin, and then let that cure and sand it all down as a process of the table, so that it adds to the longevity of the table's life. So.
Gotcha.
Exactly, and that's something you see on the 120 version as opposed to your original version. It's just one more thing that you thought of as you are critiquing into your new version.
So the old one, or the 180 version, I epoxy coated the entire surface, and that's not a cheap feature to epoxy coat the entire thing. So again, it's how can I squeeze some cost out, and the answer is to just really pay attention to where the bearing surfaces are, so you don't have to incur the cost of filling the entire table. I mean, having it completely epoxy coated is nice, but it's not actually necessary.
Gotcha.
Well, I know the first one that you did, you were going all out. It was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then you looked at it and go, wait a minute, I don't have to do that. That's just wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't need an 80-pound table,
Well, that too, right? You're like you called them your Sherpas. Get a little angry at you for having to...
Yeah, exactly. So.
Now, are these actually for sale on your website yet, or not yet?
Confer to mine.
I just put up a link today with it on there, and it's really I put in there that it's built to order. So really, like he said, he's had a few iterations of it, so we're still kind of hashing out what we want to put on the site in terms of the options. If the epoxy across the whole table really does have a really sharp look, and we were able to put some inlays in it that really made it pop. But like you said, also the functionality. If you're going to try and be portable with it, then you want that ease of an ability to move it and take it with you, then that may not be the style to go with. It might be this other style. So right now I just have kind of built to order, and if people are interested in it, that would be a thing to reach out to us, and we will kind of hash that out on what's going to work for them, and as we iron out where we're headed with it.
Okay. So, kind of get with them and talk it over and figure out, is it going to be portable? Is it going to be going in a shooting house and stay, pretty much stationary type of thing?
And they might come up with some ideas that, you haven't thought of, that they might kind of throw at you. You might just go, hey, okay, like drink holders.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. If you're prairie dog hunting, you looked a little hot sitting out there in that chair, kind of slumped back. I thought, well, he needs a drink, a good glass of ice water, or iced tea sitting there.
Yep. Cup holders are optional. Yep, definitely.
Right, and as Lori says, holy engineering, Batman. Yeah. Right, exactly. So that's one of those things that the more you talk with other people, eventually, if we ever get back to public shows, you have that out there. You're gonna get that feedback, and like Mike said, give them a call if you're interested in the JPO shooting bean. You gotta see it and you got to touch it, and hopefully he'll have another one where somewhere you'll be able to do that because it is really cool.
What are you calling this thing? What are you naming it?
Right now, it's just on the
turret.
site as the turret.
Yeah.
The turret.
Turret table 120, 180, and 90. That's
Okay.
kind of where I'm going with it. Yeah.
Kidney bean is starting to creep up
Yeah,
there a little
it's
bit. I
kinda
don't
got
know.
some-
I'm going with the
You
JPO
haven't
kidney
trademarked
bean.
that yet, have you?
What's that?
Give me about an hour after the show, and then ask me that question again, right? And then you can send a check right to
Don't
me.
worry. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, exactly. You know, it's one of those things. It is really cool, and I think the JPO kidney bean would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of a couple different ways to use that up at our place. You know, whether it's
Legally.
legally.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
always legally.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes.
Let's just make sure that
We don't do anything illegal. What are you talking about?
I'm just making sure to keep you above the on
Yeah.
right.
Okay. I tell you what. Let's go ahead. We'll take our last break. We come back. We'll kind of wrap a few things up, and then we might want to hear about a story about somewhere out on the bay that you'd mentioned earlier. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
That's a shenanigans.
There you go. All right. We're going to step outside, take our last break, and we'll be right back after this.
All right, folks. Last segment of the show coming up. We've got them here live. So if you got any questions, I saw a couple questions I got to ask here in the last segment, and then we're going to get to our questions, and we're just going to be really direct on the one of those questions because we got to find out about this.
That's the story we want to hear.
Yeah, we want to hear about either the skivvy story or the truck is deeper than.
That doesn't sound good.
I know, right?
Just-
I bet
Stories.
if
Yep.
police were involved or DNR, it's got to be legendary.
I got. Yeah, there was no DNR involved in this.
That's good. That's
Right?
good.
Luckily, things happen late at night, and yeah,
What happens on the bay stays on the bay, right?
yeah, pretty much.
There you go. All right, here we go.
Unless we drag it out of you in the show.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show.
Last segment of the show, what you don't hear on the podcast, you got to tune into Facebook
Right.
to see the
Commercial breaks.
Yeah, the banter we have as we go on. For people that have listened to the first 3 segments, what is the best way to find you guys? Where to locate you guys? Give us some Facebook websites.
Yep, if you look up JPO Game Calls on Instagram, on Facebook, online, the website is jpogamecalls.com. Facebook is JPO Game Calls. Instagram, we actually ran 2. JPO_Game Calls was our original one, and you'll see a lot of the history of JPO in those Instagram pictures and feeds, and a little bit of our squirrel hunting with the kids and recipes that we've found and shared and tried out with the squirrel there in the JPO_Game Calls.
Yeah.
And then we have one also, JPO Game Calls, on Instagram that's just getting started.
All right, so to get out there, check them out, whether it's online, not TikTok. I don't know why I just want to say TikTok.
Not TikTok. I'm not
Instagram, or Facebook,
I can't take him anywhere.
Yes, Tammy, we'll get there. See, I'm already getting bugged. Questions.
Don't forget about deer camp in Sterling Heights if you're around.
Right, exactly. And if you want to, get down to deer camp in Sterling Heights, check them out. So we're in the last segment of the show. Matter of fact, there is a question here. You do make a turkey pod call, and actually, we're going to be running your mouth calls as well for UNJ this year for our spring. So all mouth calls are coming from JPO for us to use. I was trying to make contact with Paul before the show, and Mike got him out and was just trying. So, but you do make a turkey pod call, don't you?
Yes, yeah, a slate. My favorite style is a slate call, 3-inch slate, with a taper lock design on the handle, so you can break the handle down, and shorten things up in your pocket. And it also allows you, as part of that versatility itch that I have, you can change out the sticks for different style of sticks. So a harder wood or a softer wood to change the tone of the call just by changing the style of the stick. That's part of it.
The handle stays the same, and you just can put the handle with 2 or 3 sticks in your pocket with your call, because it's a smaller call, and then you have a couple different sounds you can get out of that pot.
There is nothing you have re-engineered, have you? And then you've got your mouth calls as well.
And then the mouth calls.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
So
carry 6 different mouth calls.
Yep.
Yep.
And I like to look at them. I like to look at it more kind of from the perspective of the single up to the 4-reed cutter has to do with maturity of the hen, and just those different sounds. Like the 2.5 is kind of that mid young to age 10, and that's the yellow one, the 2.5 call. So that's the one I like to run mostly.
So there you go, folks. Yes, he does make a turkey pot call, and he makes mouth calls as well. So go check over on the website as well and check those out. But
right now is a good time to start using these mouth calls too in your car and back and forth to work. Start practicing.
I'll practice out. Yep.
I didn't want to rip on them things because they get a little loud, but I was trying to do it quietly.
So it's that time of the show where we get to have some fun, because we have talked about your Omni Series. We've talked about the JPO kidney bean shooter table. We have talked about your pot calls and your mouth calls.
The goose flute.
The last one is my utility duck call.
Would we be amiss if we forgot the ducks?
You can't forget the ducks, man. You can't forget.
That's where it all
that.
started, Dan.
That's where
right.
it started.
Come on.
This is the second part of my release for the year, which is a utility call that doesn't break apart. It's all a single piece. So I look at this as like a boot call, right? This is the backup call. It's got a double read in, and I can also do single, but I'm promoting more of the double read call, and it's just a nice call to keep in your bag. Just that, if anything, for a backup, but it's just a nice price call for people to start to begin to get into hunting as well, into duck hunting as well.
So there you go. You want to, and I got to think too for like a young guy, a young kid that wants to get into waterfowling. I mean, like my son Mikey did back when he was 12, 13 years old, and then they don't have $200-$300 to drop on some of these calls.
Right.
We talked about this the other day, and you've made something of good quality, single piece, that's going to get the job done. That's very affordable for somebody just getting into the outdoors.
Yes.
Yep.
So there you
It's
go.
got a nice. I'll hit it real quick for you.
Yeah, go ahead. There you go. I hear him coming in now. Take him, boys.
Well,
cut him.
The whole theory I'm kind of thinking in my head is it'd be nice to go have him call in my first duck for me, because I've never shot a duck. I've never been waterfowl hunting, so.
What?
No.
All the hunting that we've done, you've never.
I've never been waterfowl hunting.
We had you come through a cut cornfield once.
Yeah, right? Right? It's another story.
That's for another time.
Right.
That was a long time ago.
And Tammy says working your mouth calls are perfect for commuting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Now it's our turn. We typically ask our questions. We've asked you these questions before, but we got you both there. So the last question is going to be specific this time.
I say we get them both to answer.
Well, okay, I go with that. So, anyways,
This is love connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
right? So, first things first. You're off to a public show that managed to have one, or you're driving down the highway with your duck boat or whatever, you might be pulling your trailer or whatever. What music are you guys listening to on the radio?
I play both kinds of music, country and western.
There we go. Both kinds. I love it.
Does it stay on that station, or does she get a turn?
She she's the old country.
Yeah, I get back into Tom T. Hall and
Yeah.
a couple like that.
Okay.
All right.
Little Charlie Pride, the little Hank Williams Jr.,
Yep.
maybe even
Yep.
Senior. Okay.
What's our wedding songs? The duck song, right?
You don't remember our wedding
No,
song?
I remember it, but I can't remember.
Paul, you're gonna get yourself in trouble here.
If the screen goes blank, we're sorry.
That's right.
But okay, so we're talking country western, we're talking old country. You guys are jamming to it. You guys are rocking it out, going down the road. You got to have a snack in that vehicle. What's your snacks? Each of you both got a favorite snack. It can't be the same one, can it?
Well, so mine is the homemade jerky.
I was gonna say,
It's
you gotta have a bag of homemade jerky.
Yep. My dad does just a fantastic job with it. He does the old school wood smoker. Get up at 5 in the morning, have it cured for 24 hours, and put them on sticks and hickory or whatever nice hardwood he can get, cherry or hickory, whatever's or applewood. Sometimes if he gets a little applewood, that makes its way in too. But just low and slow and lots of natural smoke, and I mean you just can't go wrong with that.
That sounds like an event almost, making that.
Oh,
It is,
It
yes.
is.
Okay.
Same with you, Amy?
Yep.
Okay.
You have to have that.
So they're going to fight over it.
Okay.
The homemade wine starts at about the time you start putting them in
I was-
too. So
Okay.
Quiet on that one, but yeah,
Okay.
it's homemade too.
So you're driving down the road and you've got this bag of jerky. Who gets the last piece of jerky? Or do you fight over it?
Depends on if she fell asleep, I'll be eating it myself.
Where'd all the jerky
I'll go
go?
halvesies if she's awake.
Okay. All right. Next question, Dan.
Or, like a true gentleman that he is, looks in the back seat and gives it to one of his kids.
There you go.
Because he will not be yelled at for taking it all.
Yeah.
Well, we just had that happen this week, didn't we?
Got into the freezer
Oh
and
boy.
got into the jerky and gave it to all our friends. And I
The
said, "Well, how
youngest had
much is
friends
left?"
over, and she came and told us the next day that she got into the freezer and gave them some of the jerky while they were down there.
Not much left. And yeah, my dad can also tell stories of me going in and raiding all the jerky when I was her age too. So I guess
She comes by
what comes
naturally.
around goes around.
Pass it right on down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So, Mike and Dan are going to come over for a nice meal, a nice
There you go.
dinner. What are you guys going to prepare for us that we're going to sit down and eat wild game wise? It's your go-to meal that you're going to give Mike and Dan.
Okay, so I will share with you, because this is the Up North Journal and it's Mike and Dan. I will share with you some elk backstraps that I happen to have left from my out west hunt.
We'll be over. Yeah.
At dinner.
Grilled,
Right?
grilled elk backstrap steaks wrapped in a little bacon. Doesn't need much. And then I'll do like an asparagus side with some, what's that sauce, that yellow sauce or something like that. Yeah, butter. Lots of butter. Yeah.
Butter is good. Amy,
And garlic mashed potatoes.
what about you? You going with the backstraps, or would you have something else that you might prepare?
We put a little teriyaki sometimes in with the goose.
You know, I could, oh boy, you know what I could do is I could do a chicken marsala with chuckers instead, or pheasant meat. That would be phenomenal.
Keep my mouth watering.
Is it dinner time yet?
Right? God, I hate this part of the show. He gets hungry every time.
I know it.
All right. We have had our meal. We're sitting back on your back deck there, watching the woods, watching the chickens in their overrated chicken house. And you're going to tell us a story. Yeah, well, we already know what story we want to hear, because you're going to tell us. And we want to know what's going on about you in the Saginaw Bay, and what kind of story. What story is that?
All right, so I might as well come out with the best story, right? So I'm very particular about my anchors in my boat. The blind that I have is it's meant to be driven into the marsh, or it can be open water blinds. So I find it, and as crazy as this may sound, in an open water blind, I find the safest place I feel I am is strapped off into my open water garage, basically, because I run out 100 feet of nylon rope with 50 feet of chain and a really nice galvanized sea anchor. And that sea anchor is like gold to me. It's lightweight. It does a great job. It's oversized for my setup, and I just treat that thing with the utmost respect. And I pulled in with a hunting partner of mine, and we pulled into the bulrushes. And I said, okay, we don't need to go full anchor distance here, so I'm just going to take the anchor and throw it over the side of the boat, just to, because I keep the boat for the blind anchor I keep inside the boat. So I took the anchor and I threw it into the bulrushes, and I watched all the anchor pay out and all the chain pay out, and then I watched the rope sit in the bottom of the blind. I'm like, oh my God, I threw the whole anchor out into 4.5 feet of water.
Oh no!
I've got all my waders and all my cold weather gear on, and it's cold out.
Nothing like the bay in October, November.
We can still hunt. We're okay. We're locked into the bulrush. It's pretty good. We can still hunt. And all I was doing really is just prolonging the inevitable. I'm going to have to go get the anchor. And
You are not going to lose your anchor.
No, I'm not. No, it's way too expensive to just leave out there. And by God, I'm going to get that thing. And
It's a nice anchor.
I got out and I felt around with an oar and I kicked around. I could feel it with the boot, but I didn't have any of the dexterity to pick it up or try to lash it over my boot. It wasn't coming up. I'm like, I'm going to have to grab it with my toes, and I'm going to. So I got back in the boat. And I took all my clothes off, right to my skivvies, jumped in the water, cold, feeling around. I got it. So that's my silver lining. I picked that. I found it, and I brought it back in the boat and dried off. Yeah, that's a good story.
That's tough, man.
That's determination to keep your anchor, man.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a German. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but you might have to go out and get a tattoo of that anchor just so you never lose it. Just the head, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That reminds me something similar with my son Michael. Him and his buddy, we all went out duck hunting one morning, and we're all, his father, son, and his buddy are arguing in the boat, and I'd had just about enough. It was windy, and I said, I wanted his buddy to throw the anchor out and tie off, and he just picked it up and whipped it out over the boat, and he said, uh-oh. I said, what do you mean, uh-oh? He goes, there's no rope. I said, you didn't check before you threw the anchor out? I mean, it was a brand new anchor. And, so I understand. It wasn't like yours, but it was just the whole idea of it. It's like, you knucklehead. But I did not go diving for it, although I wanted to make him dive for it.
Yeah, right.
It's now a dive site.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, before we go, Amy, do you have an outdoor adventure story you'd like to share, a hunting story or fishing story? Something that's near and dear to you?
No, I think I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
You put up enough of his, it sounds like.
That's just it.
Well, I knew that she was a keeper when she went jump shooting with me before we were married.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep, off the VF, and
Oh, yeah.
she had you had fishing, like lightweight trout fishing waders on or something like that, and we were walking through the marsh. Yep, I'm like that. This one's a keeper here. I put her through all the abuse, so she passed.
Yeah,
doing a little
I even
jump
got
shooting.
liver and onions the first time I went to his house.
Yep, that was a big deal. Yeah.
Liver and onions?
Yeah.
That was the first meal with my mom and dad out in the fish house.
You're a braver soul than I am. I couldn't do that.
I just looked at my dad like, really? This is what we're gonna do? He's like, yep.
So how is Lori related to you guys?
Lori is my sister.
Well,
And
I hope she comes through.
Her husband is what sparked JPO Outfitters.
Okay,
Josh and Paul Outfitters took my sister Lori's husband out. Avid bowman tree blinds,
Yeah.
deer in the thumb, and
Okay,
never
so
been on the bay though. He's been to the thumb his whole life, and
she's putting it out there that they're looking for the picture, but can't find it. So I hope that
Yeah, he'll have it. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
Is that the picture of you diving for the anchor?
yeah. There's proof. There is.
Oh,
I hope that just shows up on Facebook, because that'll be priceless. You can send that privately to us, and we'll keep it
yeah.
dear to our heart for the next
The
show.
vault. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there.
I think there needs to be some kind of anchor retrieving tool that you can come up with now. That's your next
Yeah,
engineering feat.
it's called Get in the Water and Find It.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome.
I'm the captain of the boat, and I should never do that. If my first mate did, I'd make him go in, but I did it. I'm like, God dang it! I can't even blame anybody else. I have to.
Gotta go do it yourself. That's funny.
That is a riot, actually. That's a story that'll I'm many times talked over, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up on the end of the show here, so I just want to give you one more chance here. Let everybody know where they can find you at on Facebook, Instagram, and all that. Give them the shout out there.
JPO game calls. That's
Yep. JPOGameCalls.com and JPO_game calls on Instagram, and JPO Game Calls on Facebook as well.
There you go. So get over and check them out. So far, I'll tell you what. Hang on with us here just a little bit, but we're going to wrap up the podcast portion of the show, and we'll stay on the live stream here for a few minutes. But for those of you on the podcast, don't forget, go over to his YouTube page, go over to all the social media, and go over to ours as well if you don't mind. Give us a like, follow, share, and JPO Game Calls the same thing. And if you're listening to the show over on iTunes, make sure you give us a review if you don't mind. That helps us and helps people find JPO Game Calls through us as well. So for having him on the show, it's just it comes around full circle for everybody. So, but that'll do it for us this week. Next week, Dan.
Next week, Yamaha is back in the house. We're going to be interviewing Joe Okada out of Wisconsin, walleye professional fisherman.
There you go. It won't be long. There'll be soft water again.
Yeah, right. Well, Bassmaster Elites down in Florida started today, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. They started today.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Joe, who's probably on the hard water over in Wisconsin.
There you go. So stay tuned next week. We'll be back again, same time, same channel. Y'all take care. Okay, for those of y'all on the live stream, if you got any questions, throw them at us real quick, or for Paul or for Amy.
I tell you what, there's nothing better than having family on the show, because they're just like Paul and his skivvies.
That's the first time I've ever heard skivvies mentioned in our chat.
Probably.
I figured that. I was hoping Lori may not have been participating in the event, but apparently she won't let that slide.
Tammy said that they've already got something already engineered for retrieval tools. It's called a rope, and you're supposed to have it on the anchor.
Yeah, rope and drag have been great about that time.
Who would have thunk, right? Hey, it happens. No matter how prepared you are, something.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to expect the unexpected, and it's one of those things. It's moments matters that you're going to remember from now until whenever. You'll be sitting there with your grandkids, and they'll be like, "Grandpa, tell us about the story about your anchor."
Yep.
And
Yeah, right.
Honestly, that's what makes hunting and fishing and the outdoors so memorable. It's just the crazy, wild stories like that.
Yeah.
and that's something that we also seen that you showed us was, you engineer these in your shop, but you've also passed this down to your daughter, who sits there and can turn a tool, and it's like, wow.
yeah.
Yep.
So
She knows her way around it.
right, exactly. So it's actually a skilled trade that not everybody can pass down working like
Absolutely.
that. So
Absolutely.
that's cool. Now, whether she has a boyfriend down the road and she looks at him and goes, "Hold on, I'll make a call. Don't worry."
I got this.
Right? Exactly.
I have property. I can do things.
That's right.
Right? So I think we're all set on the live stream.
All right. If y'all hang with us here for just a minute afterwards, we'll chat after we close out here on the show. But once again, thanks for joining us tonight here on the show. Everybody, like we said on the podcast, here on the live stream, make sure you give us like, follow, share on the show if you don't mind. Our social media pages, and share them on yours as well. Go over and check out JPO Game Calls social media sites as well, and get over and take a look at the calls. I'm telling you what, you won't be disappointed. It's just some really great handmade calls.
Absolutely. And if you got any questions, like we said, get a hold of them, give them an email, and they'll get back to you and help you out as best they can.
All right, that'll do it for us this week, folks. We'll be back again next week with
Joe Okada from Wisconsin.
All
from
right.
Yamaha.
There you go. Y'all take care. We'll be back again 7:30 next Thursday night. See you then.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.